All right, everyone, we have to talk politics, but not traditional, typical politics. We have to talk about information technology politics. We have to talk about the real, true global reset. It's not just financial, that's part of it. Anyway, so I think I've talked about and tried to bring attention to the fact that France's entire government just got rid of Windows. Other governments are going in the same direction, right? But that's like 2 million computers are going to be changed, and this is going to be a spreading condition. Other countries are doing a pilot where they're breaking away from Windows. And that's just one little chip. So you think, well, what does France have to do anything? Meanwhile, in America, Americans are protesting every data center that's getting built here. So the entire infrastructure is collapsing. Everything that we know and love and use. Well, maybe not necessarily, because a lot of people are using iPhones, and you can get Google, like, what is it called? Google Aluminum metal operating systems for computers now. Of course, the direction that a lot of other countries are going, so France is going to be going to Linux. That's why I'm building on a kitten Linux. Long story. Anyway. Now, here's the thing. Oh, wait, there's more. There's other OSs. But let's just focus on Linux for a minute, because not every Linux build is the same. Now, I heard about Linux way back when that little fucking traitor Jody McKeefer was telling me all about Ubuntu, blah, blah, blah. I was a Windows fangirl. Like, I would have sucked Bill Gates. Well, never mind. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I've known about Linux for a while, and I was never impressed with it because it was stupid, and it was like, whatever. And I think that it wouldn't be the first time that I've said something like market shares and market value and profit margins and the industry standard. I like to use that term a lot. I used to say that to Matthew all the time, and he'd be like, well, we should no, we're using Adobe. You know why? Because it's the industry standard. Speaking of the industry standard, once upon a time, the industry standard was Macromedia and eventually Adobe Flash. And Apple killed that. So I have no love for Apple or Macintosh, and they're part of this too. Because I know one thing that I read is a lot of people, the consumers, will probably be going to Apple, those who can afford it. The ones that can't are going to get better customization through Linux builds and whatever happens. Maybe Windows. I mean, Microsoft isn't going away anytime soon. And even if it does, there's going to be so many companies that are still connected to the Zero network. Although, at least that's the case for now. So, there's a lot of things going on, and I know people but most of Microsoft's Office share is like Office 360. Now, hold on. How is this political? Because politicians use emails, and these are countries that are getting rid of Microsoft products. So, if the countries start doing it, then eventually, the trickle-down effect, so a lot of things, they end up starting in freaking Europe, and then they hit here. Not hit here, but they come here, like movements of sorts, right? So... it'll come to America one way or another. Right now it's coming in the form of data centers, which is really silly because all the people that are opposed to data centers are using platforms that use data centers to push the narrative, and then they're like unaliving themselves and then blaming me for trying to keep creating and doing whatever I do to try to inform people. That's why the world matters and the WEF matters. By the way, WEF, I love that blue screen of death that you always put up every year. I've noticed it, but I just never understood why, but now I do. It's like people trying to take down Windows or, rebuilding the whatever and the whatever. And again, currency probably will be part of it. Now, I've heard a lot of things about there's going to be age verification for the United States. So this is the push in the United States. It's going to be for Linux, is this age verification. And some people are saying, people are going to have to go underground. I'll tell you one thing the politicians don't know anything about and that's technology. You know why? Because I've designed websites for them. Am I going to bring up Chris Weary? Yes, I am. Because he used to send me, when I was working on his mayor website, I know he did it on purpose, or maybe he didn't, but he'd send me pictures upside down. Like, that's extra steps. Like, people don't understand how technology works and codes. And they probably thought, like that song I made a while ago, it's like, get in the hole, and then I get bash, say get in bash, bash. But I realized that it's like Linux and like the git, GIT. So I was like in the process of learning, but my learning kept getting interrupted. People get, like, as soon as, you know how it's going to go. Anyway. So what does that mean to most people? Well, start looking into technology. Apparently, right now, Google OS is like the biggest market share, which I'm kind of surprised, but I'm not. I know that I've had like positions. Well, the AI training ones, it's like you should be using Google Chrome to log in instead of Microsoft Edge. And I actually don't mind Microsoft Edge. Well, it's not running on here, but on my desktop, that's actually my default browser because Google would kind of honk up on me sometimes. So don't get me wrong. I was not a fan of Internet Explorer, but that's not what Edge is. I mean, maybe they kind of all are. Anyway, let me walk back because I've been 5 minutes of blah blah blah, and you're probably like, "How is this political?" I'm gonna go back to Linux and the push to get everybody's like getting pushed away from Windows, and maybe even away from Apple. But some people are gonna gravitate that way. But here's the thing: when if these politicians pass this age verification, Americans are going to do what Americans are going to do, and they're going to make their own true social, but in OS style. There'll be people that have money that will hire people like me, say, I want this operating system that's like more free. I want it customized. I don't want kittens on mine, but can you put Jesus on mine? Or can you put a I don't know what, a politician. I like, what, Packers, maybe not Packers, but like sports or something like it, customized, whatever. And that's what people will be wanting, right? Here's the problem. There's going to be people, curious people that are just clever enough. People like me, maybe even, right? People like Jody McKeefrey, a fucking traitor. I'm going to kick his ass, man. I'm going to kick his ass in court is what's going to happen. But anyway, you know why? Because I was in a flare when all those things happen. And when somebody says no or stop or slow down, that means something. When you just like leave, so you can't just bang a disabled person and like bye. Not when there's a whole technology IT war going on. Not if you expect to live and tell your story about it. So anyway, there's a Zima OS that's a Linux build, but that one comes from China. Now, remember when I was like first getting really, really sick in Okanto? And like, I thought I was channeling an angel, right? And again, it's not like I'm bonkers, but during the time, I thought something was going. Well, I actually thought I was channeling spirit, and maybe sometimes I still do, but I wasn't sure what that meant because there were certain things like I was guided to draw, like automatic writing. It was the thing. Like I did automatic writing legit, and I've tried to do that in the past, just being curious, and it never worked. But like all of a sudden, like there it was. Part of me thought, well, that must just, maybe it's my brain, because of my brain damage. It's like my subconscious and my consciousness kind of split. You've the different levels of consciousness, the id and the whatever. Maybe they split and whatever. And that's like me trying to communicate with myself. But I don't know if it was quite so much that. But I remember like the name Miracle was given. Miracle. You can even ask my mom about it, because my mom was like, I'm not going to talk to Miracle, because like she probably thought this was just my crazy alter. But as it turns out, there's a Miracle OS based on Linux. That one's out of Japan. My dad was, World War II veteran. I don't know if that's relevant or not, but if I were Japan, I'd be pissed as all F in America right now. Like, SoftBank's bank has dumped all this money into us. Japan's invested like billions into us. And then we go and attack Iran. Not we personally, but you see what's going to happen here. It's going to be bad. Oh my God. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the whole operating system. So yeah, but there's that Zima OS out of China. There's another Chinese operating system. I don't remember what that one was, but it first got my attention. There's a North Korean one that people can download. So there's all these operating systems that people can access online for free. And I promise you that if people start taking away the internet, there's going to be the people like me that are probably going to still be able to figure out how to get a hold of certain things or get on certain things, like the tech people that know how to do the things and know how to get online, know how to get on BBSs, know how to, I don't know how to explain it, but I know how to do a lot of it. If that makes any sense. And if you're a tech, you're probably thinking that I'm almost underspeaking this, but again, this is for, I have MS and I can't always articulate what I want to say. Not everybody knows, off the top of their head, that the IBM PC started on an 8088 processor. Well, there was an 8086 as well, but the 8088 and the 8088 was actually developed in Israel. I don't know if anybody knew that, and don't ask me how I know. you know, and don't just, and like a 300 baud versus like 14.4K kilobytes per second versus, well, then there was fiber optics for a while, and now everybody's like running on cable. I mean, that's just one thing. Don't even get me started on the difference between PC 100 and PC 133 RAM.